The Hay House Masters Workshop. Live lectures and classic material from your favorite Hay House authors. Welcome to the Hay House Masters Workshop. On today's show, we will feature a live lecture with Dr. Biran Weiss recorded in Austin, Texas at the I Can Do It event earlier this year. Dr. Biran Weiss is a groundbreaking psychiatrist, best-selling author, and a world-renowned expert on past life regression therapy. In this live lecture, Dr. Weiss explains how he came to study past life regression and will lead the audience in a group regression exercise. Dr. Weiss continues to travel and speak about the healing power of past life regression therapy, and he does workshops and training seminars for professionals all over the world. To find out more about Dr. Biran Weiss and his work, visit his website at brianweiss.com, BrianWeiss.com.
For me, I'm talking about past lives and the soul and life after death and what happens when you die and soulmates and meeting people from other lifetimes in your present life. So in that case, relationships, symptoms, how do you heal physical and emotional symptoms by remembering past life traumas or memories, all of these things. And I didn't believe in any of it when I was earlier in my career. So as a psychiatrist and an academic psychiatrist, I never learned about past lives or reincarnation. That wasn't taught at Yale Medical School, where I was a student and did my psychiatry training. So they didn't teach it at Yale. Years later, I did speak at Yale about these subjects, but it was in the divinity school, not in the medical school. Although more recently I've been doing grand rounds and other talks in medical schools, and the interest is enlarging all over the world. So I just returned from India, and I've been in Japan and China and all over South America, Central America, Europe, North Africa, pretty much every place except Antarctica and the Arctic, talking about these things, but the population is less in those areas. So I never really believed in this. And then going through my academic training and becoming a professor at the University of Pittsburgh, and then at the University of Miami, and then chairman of the Department of Psychiatry at Mount Sinai Medical Center there. I had been publishing scientific articles and book chapters, more than 40 of those, and a previous book before Many Lives, Many Masters, which was the first book of this spiritual series that I wrote, but a previous book called The Biology of Cholinergic Function, which is not being sold by Hay House this weekend. It's very hard to find that book. Just as an aside, that book about acetylcholine metabolism, which I wrote before Many Lives, Many Masters, when I was a professor of psychiatry at the University of Miami, that book was incredibly powerful in curing people with sleep-onset insomnia. Not even having to take a pill. Reading 4 or 5 pages of that book caused irresistible waves of sleep to come over people, following a glazed look in their eyes, and that they would then be quickly sleeping in a deep sleep. And that was my first book representing me before. Then Catherine, the woman in Many Lives, Many Masters, came into my office, and I began to use hypnosis, which is a form of focused, relaxed concentration with her, because she had gaps in her memory for her childhood. And hypnosis is a way to enhance memory. It's not dangerous. It's not what you see in movies or television where people are quacking like ducks and barking like dogs. It's not that. That's stage hypnosis. It's very different. But properly used, it's not anything that's mysterious. It's not dangerous. It's just concentration in a relaxed state. And in that state, so you can always open your eyes, you can always stop it, nothing happens out of your control. In that state, the memory is enhanced. And I wanted to find out why she had this sort of amnesia for early childhood, where I felt some traumas may have occurred, to explain her symptoms in the present time. Her symptoms were severe insomnia, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, and phobias. And normally I would use medicine to treat someone with her symptoms, but in her case she had a fear of gagging or choking, and she couldn't take medicines. And so I just used traditional psychotherapy, which I was trained to do, having been trained in a psychoanalytic technique too during my psychiatry residency. She went fairly deeply, as many people can, and started to have childhood memories, because the memories are always there, they're just not accessible all the time. And some were fairly traumatic, but her symptoms remained severe. So the next time she came into the office, putting her back into this deeper state, asked her to go back to the time when her symptoms first began, thinking that she'd go back to a little earlier in her childhood. So she went back to around age 5 the previous week, and I thought maybe 4 or 3. She went back about 4,000 years. I said, when did go back to the time when your symptoms first began? Apparently they began 4,000 years ago. And she, a Catholic woman from New England, and I, as academic psychiatrist, not believing in past lives, here this happens. And I still don't know what it is, because she went back to this ancient Near Eastern lifetime where she drowned in a flood or tidal wave, waves pouring over the shore and almost like a tsunami type of thing. And her symptoms started getting better right away after this memory. Her lifelong fear of gagging or choking disappeared. Her fear of water disappeared. And this is how it works. Sometimes, whether you believe in past lives or you don't believe in past lives, a tremendously powerful healing effect, physically and emotionally, can occur when the traumas or the causative events are remembered. So, very, very interesting. But it took a lot more to convince me. And week by week, she would go back, have more memories, all of her symptoms eventually disappearing, in her case without the use of any medicines. She started replicating the near-death experience work of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and Raymond Moody and other researchers in the NDE. Never having heard of these people or read any of the work, she started telling me private details of my own life after she would die in one of these ancient lifetimes, go to the light, be revived, and get messages from the other side for me. And she knew details and secrets that I had never told anybody, and then she knew them. I had a son who died as an infant in 1971. She knew the medical details and what happened. I hadn't even told our best friends about that. The names, medical details, all of this. My father, who had died of a heart attack, she knew all the medical details, how it happened, where it happened, when it happened. And I don't even have diplomas hanging in my office. One theory of psychotherapy is you want the person to project these feelings and thoughts into the therapeutic arena. So I don't even have diplomas hanging. And she knew all of these details. And no place to look it up. This was before the internet. So that was surprising and alarming. And after Catherine, another person came in, and another, as word got out from her and others about this. I couldn't talk about it, that's the confidentiality, but she could. And then her friends and others started coming in. And that was around 1980, so more than 32 years ago, over which time I've done these past life regressions with more than 4,000 people in my office, but hundreds of thousands more in groups all over the world. And training therapists to do this work. That's what I was doing at the Crossings, and I still do at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York every year. And then these therapists go home to their cities, their countries, and they're doing this work and finding the same things that I do. And so it's been a fascinating journey and experience. Sometimes evidential or validational details come up, people speaking foreign languages that they never learned. This is all in the exciting work that past life therapy entails. But at first, I didn't say much or didn't write Many Lives, Many Masters for years, 5 years after Catherine ended her therapy. And it didn't come out for another 2 years after that, because I was concerned. I was chairman of the psychiatry department, and this was different. And so there was a big risk there, and there was quite a, how to put it, havoc created when the book came out, and there was censure movements, none of which was successful, because this is really something that you can validate in a research way, developing an end, testing it, hypotheses. And people knew me. I was a psychopharmacologist, and as I mentioned, publishing many papers, so those debates never got anywhere, but it really was alarming at first, because nobody wants to lose their license or have something like that happen. It didn't. It's much safer now, of course, than it was in the 80s. Now, through movies and television, magazine articles, and the books and the scientific articles, there's a tremendous literature now that you can always fall back on, and it's not risky anymore, but it was 30 years ago. Times have changed, fortunately. And now this work is going on all over the planet. In India, I've trained many therapists. They're doing this work. China, Japan, all over Asia, all over the US, Canada, South America. People come, learn these techniques. Physicians, psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, nurses, mental health therapists, and other therapists from all over the world are doing this work now. And that's been very gratifying. And yet the healing part is still fascinating to me. How people, by remembering past life traumas, just like as if they remembered childhood traumas, the symptoms clear up. Let's say you have a phobia of heights, and you go and have a regression and find out that you were thrown from a castle wall in the 14th century, and you died in that manner. Well, that memory is going to most likely get rid of your fear of heights, because it's something that's over in the past, and you don't have to worry about that happening in the future. And so the phobia disappears. A fear of water, and you find that you were drowned in the past. A fear of anything often comes from the past. It's not of the future. But physical symptoms as well, because these are often stored in the body. So many times people with neck pain, let's say, find they were hanged in a past life, and the neck pain gets better. I remember years ago seeing a radiologist at Mount Sinai who had a severe back pain, lower back pain. He had been to orthopedic surgeons and chiropractic physicians and others with really no help. And he was taking medicine that he didn't like to take because it made him sleepy and a little fuzzy mentally. And when he remembered being lanced in the back in a Middle Ages battle, his back pain disappeared, has never returned. One session, no back pain. So it's worth it, even if you don't believe in it. And then as you do this work, you find out that the validational stuff happens. People who find their children from a past life, who died recently. I met a woman, Jenny Cockell from England, who found her past life children in Ireland from a previous life. She had known since she was a child. Many children have these past life memories. They tend to go underground when they begin school, but not all the time. And she knew she had 5 children. She died young. She left them early. Her husband was irresponsible. She couldn't count on him to take care of the children in Ireland. And she's telling this to her parents, Jenny, when she was about 3 years old. She had 5 children. So parents, not believing in past lives, not knowing about it really, not having the money to investigate, they didn't know what to do, and they did nothing. So she grew up knowing this, dreaming about it, worrying about her children, wondering what happened to her children. Eventually she came up on an idea, and that was to look in the library for maps of Ireland, an atlas of Ireland, because she had drawn pictures when she was a child of the village where she thought she lived in Ireland. And she found a town called Malahide, northeast of Dublin on the coast, that looked like her maps that she had drawn. And she decided to go there because she had no other clues. And while walking in this village of Malahide, she had deja vu feelings, that feeling of familiarity as if you've been in a place before, or that sometimes you meet a person and you get that deja vu feeling. Maybe you were together before. So in her case, this was more than just a random thing. She found a church there which had a very unusual facade, and it was a church she had drawn as a child, that same facade. She knew she was in the right place. She knew that her name was Mary, that she had 5 children, I think. No, eight children. She died young, leaving the children, Mary, but that doesn't get you very far in Ireland. So she needed more. And the maps, the church, this was more. Now, she went to where she felt her house was, but it was just the ruins of a house empty since the 1950s. But now she's in Malahide, so the people there know who lived in that house, what happened, and it was her. A woman named Mary Sutton lived in that house. She died from complications of childbirth after the birth of her 8th child. She was right about the number, leaving early. The children grew up in orphanages because the husband was irresponsible. She had also drawn a picture when she was a little girl of a large white building with many windows. This was the hospital in Dublin where Mary Sutton died. And she was able to go to that hospital, go to the very room and describe what happened, and it was accurate. So she knew all these things, and then they opened up the adoption records. 5 of the children were still alive. That's why I remembered the 5. And they were able to be reunited. The youngest 2 did not even know that they had siblings. So that was very interesting. In the green room of the Phil Donahue television show years later, I met Jenny in this life, who was sitting there. She was born in 1954, I think, 54, and she was sitting there with her 85-year-old son and her 81-year-old daughter, and they were treating her like their mom, because she was. She knew all about their childhoods, little tiny details, not public things that nobody knew. It was a poor family. She knew what happened, and how could she know that? 4 of the 5 children believe that she's the reincarnation of their mother, Mary Sutton, and the 5th child believes that Mary's on the other side telling Jenny all this information. But Jenny knows nobody was telling her. She's known it since she was a little girl, so that's just the way that 5th child is sort of trying to understand. How could somebody do that? So those are kinds of evidentials. Another one is xenoglossy, when you speak a foreign language that you've never studied or understand it. I remember once seeing a woman from China who spoke no English, came with an interpreter, and in my office, doing a regression, she went back to the San Francisco area of the United States around the year 1850. Having an argument with her husband in that lifetime, she began to speak in very fluent and colorful English. Xenoglossy. The translator, not understanding what was happening, started to translate the whole thing back into Chinese for me. Because that's how translators work. You hear one language, you go into the other language. And I had to say, stop it. I understand the English. And then the blood drained from his face. It looked like he would faint because she couldn't speak English 20 minutes before that. Now she's speaking English. So as observers, scientists of the mind, we all are to some extent, you have to say, well, how can this be? How does she just understand English? It wasn't my office. Like, people don't just walk in and start understanding foreign languages. It's sort of a super Rosetta Stone thing. We don't have that. Yeah, we don't have that. That's the xenoglossy. And so those cases, it reminds me of another one of 3-year-old boys in New York City who were speaking more than the rudimentary language that twins, they were twins, young children often make up. The father is a physician, and the mother and father take the boys to Columbia University, the linguistics department, where they find the boys are speaking Aramaic to each other. There are 3. The parents don't speak Aramaic. It's not spoken anywhere in their apartment building, and you cannot pluck that off late-night cable television. It's not on Sesame Street. So how do you do these things? And that's, again, the evidential part. To me, the healings are evidential at some level. Knowledge, people come up with details that they didn't know, like psychic or regression archaeology. They know historical facts and details that they never studied that turn out to be accurate. Now everybody's doing their own research because you can do that these days. So in Miracles Happen, the latest book, Amy and I wrote up stories of this kind of evidential stories, people having a memory, say one in ancient Israel, and going there at excavations and knowing where everything used to be and this whole history of it. They had never been there before, weren't historians or archaeologists, so that kind of thing. You would just know something, and there's no way you could know that. You never studied it. Now, I can talk much more about skeptics and left brain, right brain, and all of those things, but again, in an hour, I have to edit, so I'm not going to get too intellectual today. I do want to spend time doing that little exercise, the regression, so you can have a taste of it. There are 9 books that I have now. You can read 1, you can read 2, none, 9. It's up to you, but a lot of the stories are in there. A lot of the cases are in there. Many Lives is the first, but there are others. The last one that I've been talking about with Amy, that has stories from people who came to workshops like this one and then had incredible experiences and sent us in the story, and we wrote about it and commented on it. So it's kind of like what goes on in here. So we'll do that in a moment, but I just want to talk about what you can expect. For one, it's safe. You don't have to worry about that. It's just relax, focus, concentration, as I said. So you go into a relaxed state. We'll go back to childhood. We'll go back to in utero. Many people have memories from that time and often have confirmed it with their parents. I was doing this once on the Oprah show, and a person confirmed with her mother before we even left this makeshift office in the Harpo studios. It was accurate. It's birth memory. And the mother was shocked. How did you know that? I never told you that, but it's all stored here. And then a past life, too. Don't worry if it's imagination, fantasy, metaphor, symbol, a mixture of all of these. It's all grist for the mill. As therapists know, anything that comes into your awareness is important. It's there for a reason. You don't have to edit, don't think, don't analyze. Now, do it in the break afterwards. But now just experience it. Just let yourself experience. See what comes to you. If you're at all uncomfortable, and overwhelmingly people are not, but if you are, just open your eyes and you'll be right here in the seat. And so the best way to have an experience is to relax, not to try too hard, not to think, not to analyze. That brings in your left brain, but just to relax. So even though it's just an hour, instead of just lecturing, I want to do this part of the program too. I also have a website. It's easy to go to. It's just brianweiss.com. That has a lot of questions and answers and resources and where I'm going to be and details. So if we didn't cover something today, like Q&A, we won't have time for that. But it's up there, and YouTube videos and lots of free things on there. So that's available for you too. Okay, so loosen anything if it's too tight or too uncomfortable. The chairs will work very well. The University of Texas has sprinkled it with a special substance from Tibet to deepen your... No, that's not true. I said I would tell you if something's not true, but it'll work anyway. They look kind of comfortable to me, more or less. Better than these wooden folding chairs with a hole in the back that people... Yeah. Then if you have back pain, you don't even need a regression. You just have to get out of the chair. So, what we're going to do in a moment, we can turn on the music now. If I were more dramatic, I'd just be doing something, but we're going to put music on at a background level, bring the lights down, then it's just me talking. And it'll take about 25 minutes, more or less, very safe. And whatever comes into your mind is good. We'll make it lower than that, just background to my voice, pretty low. That sounds good. And we can bring the lights down a little. Or not. They're actually pretty dim where you are. Okay, good. Now, this exercise is done best with the eyes gently closed. So if you want to do this, just gently close your eyes. And even if you don't want to do it, it's very relaxing. Focus on my voice, because it's easy to fall asleep when you're relaxing like this too. So try to focus, concentrate on my voice. And with your eyes gently closed, use your imagination today. And just imagine that you can breathe out the stresses and the tensions that you store in your body. Breathing out stress, breathing out tension, breathing in beautiful energy. There really is beautiful energy here. Breathing out stress, breathing out tension. And as you do this, let yourself relax deeper and deeper. And this is very healthy for you, healthy for your body and healthy for your brain, to go into this deep state of peace and calm, to relax completely, to let go of stresses and tensions. This is very healthy for the body and the mind. And as you breathe so peacefully, so calmly, use your imagination now. And as I go through these muscle groups, just feel your muscles completely relaxing. Relaxing now the muscles of your face and your jaw. So relaxed, so loose, letting go of all tightness. Relaxing now completely the muscles of your neck. Sometimes people who carry too much tension in their jaw and have teeth grinding, or in their neck and have tension headaches or neck pain, just need to focus and concentrate on relaxing these muscles completely, letting go of all tightness and tension. And now relaxing completely your shoulders, so soft, so relaxed. Sometimes people who carry too much responsibility in their lives, who in effect carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, have too much tension in these large muscles. Let your shoulders completely relax. Relaxing your arms. Let only the chair support you. And now relaxing the muscles of your back, both your upper back and your lower back. Sometimes people with too much tension in their backs have pain in their lower backs and upper backs from this constant contraction of muscles. Let these large back muscles completely relax. And next, completely relax the muscles of your stomach and abdomen so that your breathing stays perfectly calm and serene. And relax the muscles of your legs, only the chair supporting you now, as you go deeper and deeper into this beautiful state of peace. You'll be able to focus on my voice and let my voice and the music take you deeper and deeper relaxed. But let any background noises or distractions only deepen your level even more as they fade away. You can go very deep today. And next, visualize or imagine a beautiful light above your head, a beautiful light. And you can choose the color or colors of this beautiful light. Imagine that this is a healing light, bringing healing, recuperation to all parts of your body and your mind. And this is also a spiritual light connected to the light above and around you. And also a deepening light, because it will bring you to deeper and deeper levels of peace and tranquility. And let this beautiful light come into your body now through the top of your head, illuminating your brain and spinal cord, and the light flowing down from above to below like a beautiful wave of light, touching every cell and fiber and tissue and organ of your body with peace and love and healing. And the light fills your heart, your beautiful heart, healing your heart at all levels. And your heart gently pumping the light throughout every blood vessel of your body so that it reaches everywhere. And the light fills all of the abdominal organs, healing, recuperating, getting rid of illness, disease, discomfort, and restoring to perfect health. Let the light be very powerful, very strong wherever you need it for healing. The light fills your back, healing the large muscles, nerves, bones, organs, and flows down both legs all the way to your feet, bathing your body in its beautiful healing energy. Let yourself go even deeper, focusing on my voice, but going deeper and deeper relaxed. Imagine that the light also completely surrounds the outside of your body as well, wrapping around you like a beautiful bubble or cocoon of light, healing your skin and outer tissues, protecting you completely, deepening your level even more. In a few moments, when I count down from 10 to 1, let yourself go so deep that your mind is no longer limited by the usual barriers of space or of time, so deep that you can remember every experience that you have ever had in this body or in any other body that you have had, or even in between bodies when you have been in the spiritual state. You can remember everything so deep that you can experience all levels of your multidimensional self, because you are far, far greater than your body and your brain. You are a beautiful, immortal, spiritual being. You have existed forever. You are immortal, eternal. You are always loved, and you can never be harmed, not at this level. 10, 9, 8, going deeper and deeper with each number down. 7, 6, 5, deeper and deeper and deeper. 4, 3, a beautiful level of peace and serenity. 2, 1, good, in this beautiful, beautiful state of calm. Imagine now that you're walking down a wonderful staircase, beautiful staircase, and that each step down takes you even deeper, deeper, down, down, deeper and deeper, down, down. And as you reach the bottom of the steps, in front of you is a beautiful garden filled with flowers and plants and other beautiful things. A garden that is a sanctuary for you, a haven, a place of perfect peace and calm and serenity. And you go into this beautiful garden and find a place to rest. Here, your body, still filled with the light, surrounded by the light, continues to heal, to recuperate. The deepest, deepest levels of your mind can open up. You can remember everything. In a few moments, when I count down from 5 to 1, go back into your childhood and remember a memory from your childhood. You can keep it a pleasant memory, a happy memory, or a meaningful memory, whatever comes into your mind. Maybe something you have not thought about or remembered for a long, long time. Whatever comes into your mind is fine. Let it come into complete focus, this childhood memory, as I reach the number 1. 5, remembering a childhood memory now, keeping it pleasant or happy if you wish, or meaningful or important. 4, coming more and more into focus. 3, You can remember everything. 2, 1, good. Be there with this childhood memory and pay attention to any details, such as where this is occurring: home, school, outside, playing, inside, someone else's home, a trip or vacation. Whatever comes into your mind is fine. And if you can observe yourself, notice what you are doing or what you are wearing or what your hair looks like. And if you notice other people, they may appear younger to you because they were indeed younger then. And that's perfectly fine. If you need to go deeper to focus the memory even more, just take a beautiful breath or 2 or 3, and you'll go much, much deeper. If you're ever uncomfortable, just rest comfortably where you are, or you can float above the scene or image or feelings, observing or sensing from a distance as if you were watching a movie. That's fine. Or even opening your eyes if you wish, but if not, stay with it, breathe yourself deeper, focus. Let yourself remember. Sometimes a childhood memory is connected to other memories, and you can remember these also. The memories are not always visual. They may be memories that you sense or feel or hear or taste or smell or any of your senses, or just know. It may come from a photo or snapshot, picture that suddenly takes on more dimension and may even move, be set into motion. Whatever you experience or not is fine, but try not to analyze or critique or judge it. Just experience it. You can analyze later. And you can remember much, much more than a childhood memory. And so just float above this childhood memory for now, feeling very free and light. And before we move further back in time, just stopping for a moment to reflect on the importance of this memory to you now. Why, from the hundreds and even thousands of memories that could have come into your awareness, was it this one or these few? Why this memory? Is it trying to tell you something, to remind you of something or someone? What is its message to you now? And now we're ready to go farther back in time, back before your birth into your present body, when you were in the in utero state, in your mother's womb, in utero, prenatal. Many people have accurately remembered from this time, but even if it is a mixture of imagination and actual memory or metaphor or symbol, that's all fine. It's okay. Whatever comes into your awareness is fine. It is okay. Once again, I'll count backwards from 5 to 1. Let any remembrances from this in utero prenatal time come into your awareness. Maybe physical memories. What was it like physically? Do you become aware of any sensations or impressions or feelings or emotions? 5, you can remember everything. 4, going back to the in utero, the prenatal time before your birth. 3, sometimes spiritual wisdom comes. Why are you choosing these parents, this life? 2, 1, be there. And let yourself become aware of any sensations, physical or emotional, feelings. What comes into your awareness? Sometimes the spiritual wisdom. The feelings may be yours or even of your mother's because you are so closely connected, so bonded at this time. Or even of your father's because consciousness is not limited to the physical body. What lessons are you coming back here into this earth school to master, to work upon, as you progress along your spiritual pathway? In a few moments, when I count from 1 to 3, go through your birth, but with no pain and no discomfort at all. Just to remember being born and what changed. No pain, no discomfort at all. 1, being born now. 2, 3, you are out, you are born. What do you become aware of now? Differences in temperature, warmth, cold, noises, sounds, people. What do you become aware of? Mother, love. What is there for you? And now just floating farther and farther above this memory, there is one more stop on this journey backwards in time into the past life or into the spiritual dimensions, if that is what you need to experience. And so imagine now or visualize a beautiful doorway in front of you, and the door is closed. On the other side of the door is a beautiful light. Beyond the light is a scene or an image, a person, a figure, a past life, a spiritual dimension. As I count down again from 5 to 1, the door will open, go through it, through the light, join the scene, the person, the experience on the other side of the light, and be there completely. 5, the door begins to open. You become very aware of the beautiful light on the other side of the door. And this light pulls you to it. It attracts you. There is something for you to learn on the other side of this door, on the other side of the light. 4, moving through the door now and into the light. The scene, the person, the figure on the other side of the light, the experience is coming more and more into focus. 3, closer and closer. 2, nearly there now. 1, be there. If you find yourself in a body, look down at your feet and observe or sense what kind of footwear you have on, if any. Are these shoes or sandals or animal skin or fur or boots, military, anything or nothing, perhaps just your feet? What kind of footwear, if any? And pay attention to any other details, such as your hands, the size and shape and color. Are these the same, or are they different? And your clothes, styles, colors, textures, do they convey to you a sense of epoch or era or time? And other details, as you perhaps look around or sense mountains or deserts, topographical features, rivers, oceans, forests, jungles. What do you become aware of? Architecture, perhaps. Are there buildings or structures, if any? Are there other people? If so, what are they doing? How are they dressed? And if you get closer to anyone, do you recognize them as someone from your current life? Does anyone seem familiar to you in that way? And you can move forwards or backwards through time in that life, learning even more details. What do you become aware of? What is happening? If you need to go deeper, remember that a beautiful breath or 2 or 3 will take you much, much deeper. Try not to analyze, not to critique or judge. Just experience it. As I count from 1 to 3 now, go to one of the most important or significant events in that lifetime and see what you experience. 1, 2, 3. Moving to that. What do you become aware of now? A significant or meaningful event in that lifetime or in that experience. Are there other people around? What do you become aware of? And continuing to move through time, when I again count from 1 to 3, go to the very end of that life, to the last day, but with no pain at all and no discomfort at all. Just to remember how you left that time, that place. 1, the very last day, no discomfort or pain at all. 2, 3, you are there. If there are other people around, and oftentimes there are at these meaningful times, look into their faces or into their eyes. Do you recognize them as anyone from your current life? What do you become aware of? What is happening to you? And now just floating above that scene, feeling so free and so light. And in your mind, just for a moment, in your mind, review what were the lessons of that experience, of that lifetime. What did you learn from it? And how do those lessons connect to your present life? What are the connections? What does it teach you, show you? And now as you float in this space in between lifetimes, feeling so free and so light and peaceful, imagine that a beautiful spiritual being comes to visit you. Someone very loving and very wise, like a master or an angel, a loved one on the other side. And you can communicate, whether in thoughts or feelings, mind-to-mind contact, or in any other way, you can communicate. Are there any messages for you? Any knowledge, wisdom, advice, messages to bring back with you so that you can remove any blocks and obstacles to your inner peace and joy and harmony in your current life? Are there any messages for you? You are always loved, always protected, always guided. You do not need to fear. Let go of fear. Soon it will be time to return. And so saying goodbye to this beautiful spiritual being for now, but they are always there with you, even when you are not aware. They are there. And going back to the garden now, rejoining your body, which has been healing in that beautiful light, rejuvenated, filled with a soft and beautiful healing energy. The healing will continue even after you are awake. And now back in your body, back in this room, completely grounded in your body, feeling so grounded and yet refreshed. I'm going to bring you back to full waking consciousness by counting up from 1 to 10. And with each number, you'll be more and more awake and alert, in complete control of body and brain, feeling wonderful, remembering everything you want to remember, feeling great. 1, 2, 3, returning now to full waking consciousness. 4, 5, 6, more and more awake and alert, feeling wonderful. 7, 8, nearly awake now. 9, 10. Good, good. Let your eyes open and stretch if you feel like it. And we can stop the music now and bring the lights back up. So, welcome back. Let me just take a quick little survey and ask you a few questions. Just bring some energy to one arm and hand. How many of you were able to remember a childhood memory of any sort, even a glimpse of it? Good, an overwhelming majority of people. If I were talking to you one-to-one and we were doing this, not in a group, it would have been everybody. It's 100% virtually. But so many of you may have fallen asleep or blocked it in some other way. But if you wouldn't fall asleep if we were talking, so that's sort of an artifact of a group. Again, there's CDs and other ways you can just do it again. It's not, and this one that we just did is on a CD called Spiritual Progress. And it's got a relaxation meditation on one side, the regression to a past life on the other. And how many of you had any sort of prenatal or infancy or in utero memory at all? Okay. Not bad for a group. Not bad. And how many of you had an experience on the other side of the door? Just show me by raising your hands. It's about half the group, which is a lot of people. So half the group is significant for the first time for many of you. If you practiced it, did it more, you would have more experiences. It's not a one-time thing. It's like meditation. The more you do it, the deeper you go. You can see how relaxing it is, but also can be healing. Has anyone here noticed like a physical symptom, a headache, back pain, anything, or emotional symptom may be better? Quite a few hands up. Great, I'm happy. And again, it's just a glimpse of it, a taste of it. It's not nearly as deep as we would do over a full weekend program or a 5-day program or in therapy where a person came every week or every other week. We'd go much deeper, of course, but it's an introduction. And in that sense, I'm glad that we did it and not just talk today. So you have that experiential component too. And then the bigger message, of course, behind it is if the 50% of you say, and it's everybody, lived in a past life, another lifetime, and you had a different body and a different name, then who are you? Are you this name, this body, name, that body, or any of the other dozens and dozens or hundreds of physical manifestations that you have? Who are you? Of course, the answer is you are a soul, a beautiful spiritual being who is immortal and eternal, taking physical form repeatedly to learn the lessons of life. That's why we're here. So, and then we all go to the other side eventually anyway. We visit there. That's our home. So there's much more in the books. We won't have a chance to get to that, of course, in an hour, but we did a lot for an hour. This essence of you as a spiritual being, that's the key. If you're a spiritual being, you don't have to fear death. You don't have to fear dying. What happens? Because that's our nature. We're already alive before we're born. We're alive after we die. We're not the physical body. I think that the mystic Teilhard de Chardin summed it up so beautifully when he said, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but we're spiritual beings having a human experience. That captures the nuance of it. We're spiritual beings here having a human experience. Some of you just got a little taste of that. Some of you know this much more deeply than others, but we're all in the same boat. And I thank you for rowing the boat together with me today.
Thanks for joining us for the Hay House Masters Workshop featuring past life regression expert Dr. Brian Weiss. To purchase books or CDs from Dr. Brian Weiss, visit hayhouse.com. If you would like to experience a live lecture for yourself, Find out about Dr. Brian Weiss's upcoming speaking engagements by going to hayhouse.com/events.